I made a flag. This is a Scandinavian Union flag combining the flags of Denmark, Norway and Sweden.
But Amy, I hear you say, why have you made a flag?
Well, that's because I've created a new language. Okay, not a new language. I've tried to come up with a common language, which is the Scandinavian languages. So trying to find the common elements between Danish, Swedish and Norwegian. Let me show you some examples. So my idea here is that you learn this one language and then you can understand and be understood in all three Scandinavian languages. To do this, I've built a little app using the Google Translate API and the Google Text-to-Speech API. So I can give you an example. If we take the word dog, that is hund in all three languages.
Hund. Hund. Hund.
Okay, so some variation of hund. So we're going to say that the Skandinavisk word for dog is hund. Now let's take cat. We've got
Cat. Cat. Cat.
Okay, so it's going to be cat, but 1 T or 2 T's, and my rule is if any feature appears in 2 out of the 3 languages, it's going to win. So we're going to say it's cat with 2 T's, all right? Let's do a more difficult example. Breakfast, okay?
Morgenmad. Frokost. Frokost.
Now using my rule, we should say it should be either frokost or frukost. But we can't do that. I'll show you why. I've done this back translate as well. So if you translate frokost as if it was Danish, Norwegian and Swedish, you see Danes think that frokost means lunch. And this is true. I say it every weekday at around 11:30 that I'm going for frokost. It's weird because it means breakfast in the other languages. So I had a thought. So let's go back to breakfast. In Danish, you got this word morgenmad.
Morgenmad.
Which means morning food. So I think all 3 languages will understand morn means morning. They do. Let's just take food. Let me see. Yeah. We got
Mad.
mad.
Mat.
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 Mat. So we're going to say that mat means food. And if we take morn mat, I wonder if you can do it as one word. Let's see if we back translate. Yes. All 3 languages understand morgenmad as breakfast, more or less. So I'm going to say in my new language that the word for breakfast will be morgenmad. And what about lunch? Let's see, we can, yeah, there you go, frokost. Then you got
Lunch.
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 Lunch. So we can really say that lunch means lunch, and of course they all understand that. Let's try dinner. Okay, we've got
Aftensmad.
aftensmad.
Middag. Middag.
Middag. You know what? Danish also understands middag to be evening dinner. It's confusing to me. Middag means midday. Why would that be evening meal? I don't know, but it is. But let's say aftens. Let's go with our other trick from before. Aftens mat. It means dinner. Okay, so we'll go with evening food. Right. Let's get a little bit more complicated. Let's go a little bit Avril Lavigne. Let's see what we've got here.
Han var en dreng, og hun var en pige. Han var en gut, og hun var en jente. Han var en pojke, og hun var en flicka.
Okay, straight away we can see han var, han var, han var. That's fine. En dreng, en gut, en pojke. So we have 3 different words in 3 different languages for boy and 3 different words in 3 different languages for girl. Let me also just say og, ok. We're going to go with og for and. Now, what do we do about this dreng and pojke, gut, jente, pige, flicka? Watch this. If I type all 3, dreng, gut, pojke, what have we got? Pige, jente, flicka. If I back translate it, look at that. Boy, 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 girl, girl, girl. They all understand all 3. So I'm just going to say use whichever one you like, really, for this. I do quite like gut, actually, because Danish actually really uses the word gut. Sometimes it kind of more like means a guy instead of a boy, but that's okay. Right, let me say I like to sing. Okay, Yeah, so we've got a problem here. Jeg kan lide, jeg liker, jeg tycker om.
Jeg kan lide at synge. Jeg liker at synge. Jeg tycker om at sjunga.
So we can easily see that I is going to be jeg with an E, not jag with an A. We've got singer. Yes, that's nice. Are we going to use a or o for the infinitive? Looks like at with a T, probably. Although I do quite like o singer because if you listen to the Danish,
Jeg kan lide at synge.
it sounds more like jeg kan lide at synge, not at synge. I don't know. But the problem I want to point out here is I like. It's either jeg kan lide, jeg liker, jeg tycker om. My friend and colleague Veronica had an idea with this. If we try to back translate jeg syns om at synge, I think all three languages will understand jeg syns om to be I like to. Yeah, I like to sing. So, and you can even say jeg syns godt om at synge. Yeah, it's the same. They all understand. So we're going to go with jeg syns om. Okay, next example. I'm visiting an island. Okay, jeg besøger. What I want to point out here is the letter Ø, which in Danish and Norwegian, you've got this O with a line through it. In Swedish, you've got the O with two dots, umlaut, over it. I'm going to say you can use either one. The reason is, if you're in Sweden, you've got a Swedish keyboard, you're going to have the letter, what is it called? No, not that. This. And I'm going to say those two are equivalent. So I'm going to say it doesn't matter. So we'll treat the Ø as if it's this Ø. So let's listen.
Jeg besøger en ø. Jeg besøger en ø.
Oi.
Jeg besøger en ø.
So the word for island, we can say Ø as in this or this. That means island. And we're going to have jeg, of course. We're going to say besøger with a soft G or a hard K. Obviously, it's a hard K because we've got it in two language. So we can say jeg besøger. I'm going to go with the hard K in Ø. And like I said, you can basically choose either of the Ø sounds. Let's translate it backwards. I'm visiting an island. Good. This is good. My next example, I'm reading a book. Again, we've got this E letter, which is E in Swedish. Let's listen.
Jeg læser en bog. Jeg læser en bog. Jeg læser en bog.
So we can basically say jeg læser is the winner. Are we going to say bog with a G or book? Yeah, it's going to be book with a K. So jeg læser en book. That's going to be Skandinavisk, for I'm reading a book. Yeah, and they all understand it. And just to point out, if you have a Swedish keyboard, you can write it that way. No problem. They all understand it. Good. Nice. A few more examples. I love my mum.
Jeg elsker min mor. Jeg elsker moren min. Jeg elsker min mamma.
Okay, first thing I'm going to say is I love this Norwegian form. Jeg elsker moren min. I love the mother mine. It sounds so lovely. But I'm afraid I think it's only Norwegian that understands this form because Danish goes min mor and Swedish goes min mamma. But we can see that is it going to be elsker, elsker? Yeah, it's going to be elsker with an E. So the answer is jeg elsker. Oops, yeah. Oh yeah, that was right. Jeg elsker min mor. You're going to say more because this does say more as well. Jeg elsker min mor. That's going to be Skandinavisk. Yes, nice. For the last example, I'm going to go with a good old traditional Duolingo thing. Why does that bear have a bicycle? What have we got?
Hvorfor har den bjørn en cykel? Hvorfor har den bjørnen en cykel? Varför har den där björnen en cykel?
So obviously we're going to take hvorfor instead of varför. We're going to take cykel with a C instead of cykel with a S. Obviously, we've got the Ö sound as well. Use either depending on your keyboard. And this is interesting for me. See, in Danish, it's den bjørn. In Norwegian and Swedish, well, ignore the den der, that there. But we've got den bjørnen, which is interesting. For me, that sounds like, why does that, the bear, have a bicycle? But this is a feature that appears in both Swedish and Norwegian, so we're going to keep it. So we're going to end up with hvorfor har den. You can either go bjørnen or, as I said before, bjørnen. In we'll go with cykel. And do they understand it? Yes, all three languages understand it. Finally, let me try and say something real in this new language. So I'm going to say something in Skandinavisk, and if you speak Danish, Norwegian or Swedish, try and work out what it is I'm saying. Alle mennesker født fri og like i verdighet og rettigheter. De utstyrt med fornuft og samvittighet og bør handle mot hverandre i en ånd av brødreskap. Yep, that was the first article of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Could you understand it? Now, from my limited research that I've done, it turns out, in fact, that the common language is Norwegian. Quite often there are words that are found either in Danish and Norwegian or Swedish and Norwegian, but there are very few words that are found in Swedish and Danish and not Norwegian. And I guess it kind of makes sense because Norwegian is written a bit more like Danish, but pronounced a bit more like Swedish. And sometimes those Swedish pronunciations come across in the written text as well. So it kind of makes sense that Norwegian wins. So if you want to learn a common Scandinavian language, your best bet is to learn Norwegian.
And that's cool because I am also learning Norwegian now anyway. And this all was just quite a lot of fun and a good excuse for me to play with the Google Translate APIs. And as I said at the beginning, I made a flag.